Ever look back at your past self and think, wow, I can't believe I used to think that way? Well, it's not something to be embarrassed about. It's proof of growth. The most successful people evolve, pivot, and redefine success as they go. Hi, welcome to the Connect with Sheila Botelho podcast. I'm a self-care strategist and success coach, and I'm committed to helping you reconnect to your purpose, elevate your well-being, and build your version of a happy, successful life. On today's solo chat, we're having a conversation about something many of us experience but don't always discuss, and that is outgrowing old versions of ourselves. If you've ever felt like the things that used to drive you no longer feel aligned, if you've been questioning whether you're on the right path but feel resistance to making a change, or even if you're simply craving a new, more sustainable, fulfilling way to move through life and business, take a seat and have a listen. Because what I've found is success isn't about sticking to a path just because it's familiar. It's about learning when to evolve. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Here's something most people don't realize. The essence of who you are, your values, your integrity, your heart, those elements stay with you. Like they're woven into you. But how you embody those things tends to shift. And truly it has to. Yet most of us, especially as high achievers, hold on to outdated definitions of success because letting go feels risky. It feels like we're betraying something. But what if that wasn't true? Let's talk about loyalty for a second. In my 20s, I thought loyalty meant standing by people no matter what, whether in relationships, friendships, or business partnerships. And I believed that if I walked away, I was failing in my relationships. I was that friend who would stay on the phone for hours, even when I had an early morning. I was the business partner who would over-deliver, even when I was running on fumes. I was the person who thought walking away meant breaking a promise. But by my 40s, I've learned the hard way that real loyalty isn't about staying in places that no longer serve you. It's about being loyal to yourself first, so you can fully show up for the people who actually align with you. And I resisted that lesson so hard. I held on to friendships that had long stopped being reciprocal. I stayed in business partnerships long past the point where they were working. And I convinced myself that if I just worked harder, it would all make sense again. But it didn't. And the moment I started letting go, everything really changed. I want to ask you, where in your life are you holding on to something simply because you think you should? When I think back to my 20s, the first word that comes to mind is hunger. I was really hungry to find my place in the world. I was devouring personal development books, showing up at every networking event, saying yes to every opportunity. I worked in the personal development space, so I was surrounded by opportunities to connect. And I thought success was about doing more, learning more, proving myself more. And then I started a business with my husband. And let me tell you, I was so in because we really wanted that freedom to create our life the way we wanted to create it. And I didn't have as many boundaries. I didn't have balance. I just had drive. And if you had told me back then, Sheila, slowing down will actually get you further, I would have laughed in your face. But what I didn't realize is that I was spending so much time chasing someone else's definition of success that I wasn't actually paying attention to what made me different. If you are constantly looking at what everyone else is doing, you'll never see what makes you unique. Then came my 30s, and the game changed once again. This was a decade where creativity and responsibility collided. I started writing. I got involved in nonprofit work. I launched a brand, and I became a mother. And suddenly, success was not just about me anymore. I had to start making decisions that weren't just about what felt good in the moment, but what would actually build a sustainable future for myself, for my family, and for the people that I was serving, of course. And that meant saying no to opportunities that seemed exciting, but didn't align long term. That meant disappointing people. It meant realizing that some relationships are seasonal, and that is okay. And then the 40s hit, and suddenly everything I thought I knew got completely turned upside down. If you've been following my story, you know some of those pieces. I pursued a business model that flopped, no matter how much time I put into it. I started home educating my kids, which thrived, and then I lost my sister. Losing her made me look at everything differently. It made me pause and ask, is this really how I want to spend my life? And you know what? Some of the things I was doing, I absolutely loved. But some of them I was only holding on to because I thought I should. So I gave myself permission to let go of them. I stepped fully into the online space. I stopped trying to fit my business into a mold that wasn't meant for me. And that's when things started to shift. So now here I am in my 50s, and I have never felt more aligned. I work in the coaching space. I coach high-level entrepreneurs. I also work in the tech space with coaching. I serve a wider range of clients than ever before. But the best part is I don't feel like I have to prove myself anymore. I trust myself. I trust my instincts. I trust that as the world keeps evolving, I get to evolve too. And frankly, I need to keep evolving because that is how life goes if you are on the growth journey. So here are two things that I love to offer up to my clients, and I'm going to offer them up to you right now. Two things that you can do today to step into your next level. The first thing, and this is going to involve writing something down so you can come back to it. And so the first thing is like take a piece of paper. I feel energized by is what you can say. Second column is for the things that drain you. So you can say things that drain me at the top of this page. A few years ago, I did this exercise and I realized a huge part of my exhaustion came from holding on to outdated business models. And so doing this exercise and really thinking of in your business day and maybe even in your external life, like the things that you're volunteering in, the relationships in your life, whatever, like you can just put everything in those two columns and then you can identify which are business related. But when I did this exercise, when I realized that I was holding on to these outdated business models, I noticed when I actually said, I'm going to let these go. I can always pick them back up again. But when I let them go, it felt amazing. I was afraid at first to do it. But once I actually did, I realized I had the energy to launch this podcast, to build new revenue streams, and to deepen my impact. And next, I invite you to rewrite your definition of success. Notice how I always talk about that at the top of the episode, like help you create your version of success. So let's think about this. Ask yourself the question, if I could start over right now, what would success actually look like for me? I have a story to share about this, and it has to do with one of my clients who had built a multiple six-figure business, only to realize she really did not enjoy her day-to-day. And certainly as we're building and scaling things, there's going to be elements that we don't enjoy. Like that kind of is the deal, right? It comes as a package deal when you're building anything new. And certainly as you're building things, you having your hands in the different elements is so valuable because then when you hire a team, you know intimately what it is that they're supposed to be doing in their descriptions of work. And then you can pass them off more confidently, know that things are getting done, right? This client, though, thought that, as she built this, she created it, she thought that she just had to keep scaling it the same way. So she was following, again, kind of like me earlier on in my life, following the models of what was working for other people, which can be super valuable if they're aligned to you, of course. And, there's something to be said for not reinventing the wheel. But she was doing it and really didn't enjoy, like, for the long term. It was really impacting her. It was actually getting in the way of the energy that she had to deliver her content to people, her coaching, all of the things that she was doing. And so what she decided to do was take a step back and look at how she could take her own thought leadership, restructure things, build some more leveraged income streams, and give herself over to those pieces of the business that felt better to her now, so that she could have a long-term goal. She also really did stretch out the goal. She knew this could mean things may take a little longer for her. So she was okay with that because she realized, my life's happening right now. I want to feel good right now while I'm doing this, knowing that, again, there's going to be moments where it doesn't feel so good. However, for the most part, she wanted to be feeling good about the things she was doing because she realized her energy was a really big part of what she was delivering on. And what was so interesting is, as she went through this process, she ended up actually growing her business faster than she expected because she was so energized. And she, in letting go of some things and delegating some things, like creating new descriptions for people to pick up some of these tasks and jobs that she had, it just freed her up. And she started to actually enjoy her life again. And that is the power of defining success on your own terms. She had it in her mind that, okay, if I follow this system within this period of time, this is what the result is going to be. And this is going to be their cash flow. And this is going to be, all of the different, like the churn rate versus like who's staying and like, how do we, bring on new people? Like, she was looking at all of that according to what was working for other people. And she was constantly feeling like she was on a timeline that, like, she couldn't stop. And it was creating stress and pressure for her and taking away from the impact she could give. So when she freed herself up to kind of saying, okay, well, that's success for them. What does it look like for me? Okay, if I could actually achieve this goal and maybe it takes 6 months longer or a year longer, I'm good with that. And then she let go and she followed the new plan. And that's when things actually did speed up for her, but she was feeling good in the process. Do you see how that works? Right? Instead of just completely copying what someone else was doing, she put her own flavor into it and she used her own timeline. So when you define success on your own terms, it has to do with, yes, the revenue. It has to do with the timeline. It has to do with the culture of your organization. What do you want your people to feel like who you're working with? Who are the people you're attracting into your business? Right? All of these things are elements that come from you, the founder. And so my question for you today, and another one, I love asking you questions, is what is something that you've changed your mind about in the last 10 years? And how has it shaped who you are today? Think about that. And it could be something, again, in any part of your life, because I believe all of these lessons we experience are transferable to our personal life, to our business life, to just any kind of element, our physical life, right? What have you changed your mind about in the last 10 years? And how has it shaped who you are today? I'll give you an example. I know someone who has for many years said they're not a morning person. Therefore, they could never or would never, I would not say couldn't, because there were times where they would get up for an early flight to go on vacation. So they could, but they chose not to and told themselves that they couldn't get up early for years to, for instance, go to the gym. They thought, okay, I have to do it midday or end of day. But what would happen? Invariably, the midday workout would get crowded out because things get busy and work is pushing you and all the priorities, and you're on a roll with something, so you don't want to step away from it. And then, but before you knew it, okay, it's too late. And then end of the day, well, the energy just wasn't there. And so what they were finding was they were only really working out on the weekends, which that's something. So I'm celebrating you if that's you. I hear you. It's okay. We're all a work in progress. And I just know this. For the beautiful, big, awesome dreams that you have for your life and that I have for my life, I want to feel good for them. And so that means I want to take care of my body. And having some form of movement practice is super important. So you need to find a way for it to be consistent. For me, and again, this is different for everyone. For me, my highest energy to do this is first thing. And I feel like it doesn't take away from the energy of the day, like getting up early doesn't make me more tired during the day. If anything, when I don't work out first thing in the morning, like today I didn't because we were having a weather thing. My son needed my car. And I thought, you know what? I'll just do yoga at night. I'll do some, bounce on my trampoline throughout the day. I'll get out for a walk, which I'm about to do next. And I realized I had less energy mid-afternoon because I didn't work out first thing in the morning. And you would think, well, you slept longer, I should have more energy. But isn't it interesting? When we expend energy, we generate energy. So this person, circling back to the story and the question, this person who said for years, I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. I can't get up early and work out. They finally decided, okay, I'm doing this. I've said this to myself long enough. It's not happening any other way. I just have to figure it out. They realized that if they had a really early meeting or if they had clients that could only meet them at that time, they would have to adjust their schedule to do that. So they said, well, I'm going to start making an appointment with myself first thing in the morning and it's going to be non-negotiable. And guess what? They changed their mind. They decided, actually, I am a morning person. And how has it shaped them? Now it's giving them more energy throughout the day. They're sleeping better at night. They're able to get to bed earlier because they're waking up earlier and they're actually sleeping really well all night long. See how that works? So again, ask yourself what's something you've changed your mind about in the last 10 years and how has it shaped who you are today? I'd love to hear your story. And I'd love to hear, what do you want to change your mind about next? How will it shape your future? Think about acting in the way your future self would be acting. Your future self who has the life that you desire. Operating from that place can be really, really inspiring. So I'd love to hear your story. Comment in the show notes. There's a spot for you to text me. You can send a DM to me on Instagram or LinkedIn. And if you're ready to step into this next season of growth in your life with full alignment, download the Embodied Success Method and meditation that's in the show notes. And this will help guide you on anything that you are wanting to feel more aligned in your business with, any new goals and dreams you want to get to with less confusion and more clarity. Because your evolution, it is not something to fear. It is your greatest advantage. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on another episode. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Big blessings.